Are you tired of listening to your ego? This voice that constantly wants to chase something. You need to achieve that. You need to manifest something to be happy, to feel better about yourself. You realize how delusional the ego is. It takes your awareness and steps out of the present moment, which is the only moment that will ever exist. There is no time, there is no timeline, quantum jumping timeline. Doesn't work like that. There is no linear time, there's only now. And the ego steps out of the now to tell you if you achieve this, you're gonna feel better in the future. And it constantly thinks about the future and the past because it takes away your full attention, your full presence in the present moment. Because that's the only place, the only moment that will ever exist. And when you practice meditation and stillness, that's what you're practicing. You are releasing that conditioning of not being fully present and listening to the ego that always want to chase, that has a need to control future outcome. And if you meditate on the ego and the thought that comes when you sit in stillness, you're going to clearly see it, how the ego comes from the wounded child that grew up in a world not remembering its true nature. And that the first thing that you're learning as a child is that love is conditional because you learn through observation when you're young. And you observe a chaotic world where everyone is confused, and your parents teach you the first thing through their behavior that love is conditional. So you'll never actually realize that love is your true nature. So it's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. So the ego, which is completely delusional, it only chases illusion. It's completely ridiculous. And the more you observe its tendency and the thoughts and the pattern and why they are the way they are, you start realizing how it steals from you. It steals your oneness with God through stillness. It steals your focus and your ability to be present, fully present. And in my journey of surrendering to God, I start going deeper into stillness and meditation and realizing that I was meditating, but my ego was always stepping in to kind of ruin the process. And I would always let it happen and then start again and eventually do something else. But you can actually talk to your ego through stillness. And what happens is you're creating a space where you start no longer acting as you're one with your ego. So you're no longer listening as if it's you speaking. So not only through stillness, you can actually discipline your ego in creating space so that the awareness, the light of awareness, start rising up. So that brings you more clarity in your life. But also, once you have your eyes open and you interact with the world, you start noticing, you start being more present. So you start feeling it when your ego steps up and you start thinking about something or you're reacting, you have a feeling inside of you and you're like, wait, why am I thinking like that? It's completely delusional. Why am I judging that person? Why am I feeling like somebody did this to me? Like it's always thinking that it's a victim or that it has to change something. It always creates these tendencies that are complete nonsense. And actually, they're the root of our suffering because it creates all these attachment to the world. And the reality is that the world is unreal and your ego is unreal. So it doesn't want you to go deep into meditation, into stillness, because once you're able to do that, the ego starts dissolving. And so the world changes outside of you because you start seeing more truth. There's less ego patterns and voices, and therefore illusory events and perception in your external world. And so that's why going within yourself, meditation, stillness, but also introspection and question and self-inquiry are the key to your spiritual path. And all these other tools and manifestation and gimmicks and stuff is 99% of the time completely useless. The key is to go within, have a realization, As within, so without, but as above, so below. The realization opens something within you, within your heart. You start feeling something because you've realized truth. The truth shall set you free means it releases something. There's a feeling of freedom, even if it's just a little bit, because you're not a self-realized being. I'm not a self-realized being, but you can still seek the truth and release yourself from the tendencies of your ego because they create attachment and unnecessary suffering. And once you do that, as within, so without, then you act upon it. You're demonstrating physically, because you are having a physical experience, what you realized in the world of consciousness, because this is a journey of consciousness, which means your life or manifesting your reality, like they all want to sell you a course about, is really a journey of realization. And the deeper you go within yourself and you question yourself and you learn about your ego and you start questioning it and where these patterns arise from, then you are really on the spiritual path. And then you express your realization physically through your body, because your body is physical and you are having a physical experience. We're not denying that. We're just making sure that you become one with the truth, with the light, because you're not here to be a slave to your ego's false desires and illusion. And when we do so, we're suffering over and over. We're comparing, we're judging, we're chasing, we're overthinking, and all these patterns that are completely ridiculous. When you just sit down in silence and you observe them, you realize, wow, I've wasted years of my life in that aspect of life. Or just scrolling on social media, listening to other people who are completely clueless. Like, you have to realize that the Christ is within, the kingdom is within, and the truth shall set you free. These are the facts. And everything else that your ego tells you, all this desire to chase millions of dollars or manifest these things, and listening to people who claim to have the secret, they're selling you a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not on a journey to manifest money. Money is just an exchange of energy. If it's your God, you're always going to be in a perpetual chase, like a dog chasing its own tail. But you're never going to find what you're looking for, because your soul doesn't care about money. It wants to find the truth, because truth brings you peace. Peace means you're aligned with the truth of God, of the true nature of who you really are. And the spiritual journey is really just about realizing, and that's one of the realization that you go through, one of the big one, that nothing in this world will ever bring you peace. You can only find it within, and practice finding it every day. And eventually it starts rising up a little bit. You start seeing glimpses. You start realizing how ridiculous the ego is, and that you wasted years of your life because you were thinking that your life was about having things to feel better. But it's about letting go of everything so that only the truth of your soul remains. And then you can feel better and more free because you have less baggage to carry.